Hi, this is Will from Sunica ThinkSpace, Tools for Your Mind and Heart. Kenneth J. writes, do you have any tips on how to increase the confidence level of my teams? Some of them don't feel comfortable advising customers that are older than them, and some of the salespeople don't feel confident enough selling to people who have more expertise than them. So this is a problem with a lot of organizations. In fact, when I was working with an English school, an educational institution, they were selling English courses to professionals, doctors, lawyers, people that were older than the sales staff, and we had to overcome what we call limiting beliefs among the salespeople. They had to feel confident enough to be able to sell to people who were more professional, more older, more knowledgeable than they were. So one of the things that we asked them to do was just think about their confidence level. So the first step would be just to ask, on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you that you can make the sale to this person? And if they give you a 7 or 8, you might want to ask, okay, well, why not a 10? What's preventing you from being a 10? Now, at this point, you have to be careful because there are some people who are actually overconfident. They'll say a 10. And they'll act like, yeah, no problem. Then you'll want to ask for their specific plan. What are the specific actions that they'll take in order to make the sale? And at that point, you can judge whether they're confident and it's based on reasons or they're overconfident. But now let's say that they give you a 7 or less, maybe a 6, a 5, maybe a 4 or 3. You want to ask them another question then. So step number 2 is ask them, well, what could prevent you from reaching your target? Or what could prevent you from getting your outcome? At that point, they'll share with you a number of reasons. And some of those reasons will be legitimate. And other of those reasons will be what we call limiting beliefs. They'll express all sorts of beliefs like, well, maybe I don't have enough knowledge of my product. Or maybe I'm too young. Or maybe I'm too inexperienced. Or maybe I'm just not the kind of person that will be respected by a doctor or a lawyer or a real professional. Whatever it is, you have to ask them the next step, which is, look, does this belief that you're too young, does that help you or does it hurt you? And if they understand that this is a belief that hurts them, well then, in fact, you need to change that. And so one of the ways that you can change that is just by asking them, like, what's the truth? Is it true that you're too young to sell this? And usually you can come up with counterexamples. Look, you were just as young as you are now when you sold to the other person that was older. What's the difference? So the counterexample often is enough for you to overcome that limiting belief with your staff. But sometimes, counterexample is not enough because they're so lacking in confidence that it becomes part of their system, becomes part of their neurology. And so you have to scratch that pattern that runs unconsciously within their system. So if I had a CD here and I actually scratched it up, if I took a needle and scratched up the CD and then I tried to play the CD, would it play the same way? Probably not. So in fact, that's what you want to do with them. And you might make a game of it. You say, look, this idea that you're too young to sell, why don't you do something with me? Follow along. I know I'm your manager. I'm supposed to be respectable, but we're just going to have a bit of fun right now. Stick your finger in your ear and say with a Mickey Mouse voice, I'm too young to sell to this person. I'm too young to sell to this person. And do that over and over again. Now, after a while, you'll find that this person can no longer maintain that thought. That idea, I'm too young to sell to somebody, it just won't even work for them anymore. The next thing you want to do is just get them to incant the empowering belief. Now, the empowering belief, of course, will be the opposite of the limiting belief. So instead of I'm too young to sell, I'm old enough to sell to anybody. Fantastic. Get them to do that for a few days. I'm old enough to sell to anybody. That's the next step. That's step 6. And then step 7, finally, is just to follow up with them after a few weeks. Make sure that they keep doing that incantation, that belief. I'm old enough to sell to anybody. Yes. And then just make sure that, in fact, that belief has become something that's become part of their pattern of thought. And then they'll have the confidence to sell to anybody. So that's it. 7 quick steps to overcoming limiting beliefs that you can use with your staff. Again, get them to identify their confidence level, step 1. Step 2, merely ask them what's preventing them. That will reveal the limiting beliefs. Step 3, ask them, does that belief help you or hurt you? Step 4, get them to question that belief. Come up with a counterexample. Step 5, break up that pattern. Scratch that CD. Get them to do a Mickey Mouse voice to break up the neurology of that belief. Step 6, get them to incant the empowering belief. Remember, that would be the opposite of the limiting belief. And then step 7, finally follow up with them. Make sure that they really do have the confidence to perform. That's it for this week. Now that you know how to use your brain, go for it. We'll see you next time.